Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely pumped to have you here today because, well, we're on a very specific mission. We're going to break down the absolute perfect way to recount an epic past event. We'll literally look under the hood of a great story to see exactly how it's built, using some fantastic source material from a grade 10 school sports day. So let's just dive right in. Now, I want you to think about something for a second. Have you ever wanted to tell a really great story about something that happened to you? Maybe you scored the winning goal in a big game, or maybe you went on this crazy family vacation, or honestly, maybe you just had a wildly unpredictable Tuesday. We all have these unforgettable experiences, right? But sometimes when we try to share them, they just kind of fall flat. The pacing is off, or the details just get all jumbled up. Well, there's actually a specific linguistic tool designed to fix exactly that, and it's exactly what we're mastering today.
So the crucial point here is understanding exactly what we're working with. A recount text. Basically, it's a text that retells past events or experiences, and usually it does this in chronological order. It's not about arguing a point. It's not explaining how a machine works. It's simply about taking your audience by the hand and walking them through something that already happened, step by step, right from start to finish.
To become masters of this, here is our game plan for The Explainer. Number 1, the game tape, where we look at the story itself. Number 2, the playbook, where we break down the structure. Number 3, the stats, checking out the language rules. And number 4, the final drill, a quick quiz to wrap it all up.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the game tape. Let's look at the story.
Let's see how this builds our narrative timeline. It really brilliantly maps out the chronological flow of our writer's day. It all kicks off last month with the announcement of National Sports Day for the students. Fast forward to the actual day, and the whole thing starts bright and early at 7 a.m. with a short opening ceremony. Then, boom, the morning action hits. We're talking a high-stakes football match against one of the strongest classes in the school. And guess what? They won 2-1, all thanks to a goal by a friend named Andy and this clutch save by the goalie. But hey, the day wasn't over yet. In the afternoon, they entered a seriously grueling tug-of-war competition. Now, they actually lost that one, but strangely enough, they walked away completely happy.
Which actually brings us to a really crucial lesson from the writer. They said, I learned that teamwork, discipline, and sportsmanship are more important than winning. What's so interesting here is how perfectly this wraps up the whole narrative experience. You see, the writer didn't just give us a dry list of sports they played. They gave us the emotional takeaway. They tied a nice little bow on the events of the day, which makes the whole text feel complete and meaningful. Moving on to Section 2, the playbook. Let's talk structure. So how exactly did the writer build such a satisfying narrative? Well, I'm putting on my coach's hat here so we can see the hidden framework operating underneath this play-by-play. It beautifully illustrates the skeleton of every good recount text. We're looking at 3 required structural components here. First up is the orientation. This is the who, what, when, and where. I mean, you can't just drop your listener in the middle of a football field without context. Our writer does this instantly. Last month, my school held a sports day. Boom, context established. Next comes the events section. This is the absolute meat of the story, and it's always told in chronological order. The event started with an opening ceremony, followed by football. It's a logical progression. And finally, the reorientation. This is your conclusion or your personal feeling about it all. It's exactly where our writer notes that the day was exciting and unforgettable. So, orientation, events, reorientation. That right there is your ultimate playbook for telling a story about the past.
All right, Section 3, the stats. Time for the language rules.
Now that we've got the structure down, we need the raw materials to actually build it. And look, I know what you're thinking, but grammar rules aren't just meant to be memorized for a test. They are incredibly effective tools for storytelling. For this, there are 4 definitive language features you really need to master: the simple past tense, action verbs, time expressions, and personal pronouns. Think of these as the required gear for the sport of storytelling. Let's break a few of these down to see why they matter so much. Let's start with the big one. Present tense verbs like play, win, and lose versus simple past tense verbs like played, won, and lost. The crucial point is this: a recount text is obviously about the past. If you use present tense, your audience is going to get really confused about when all this is happening. So by transforming your verbs, words like held, participated, started, joined, you drop an anchor that firmly locks your whole story in the past. Next up, let's talk about action verbs. Take a look at this sentence straight from the text. My friend Andy scored the first goal, so we won the match 2-1. Words like scored and won, those are action verbs. They aren't passive at all.
They literally drive the excitement of the narrative forward. When our writer says they pulled the rope with all our strength in the tug of war, you can actually feel the effort, right? That's because the action verbs are doing the heavy lifting. Now, we have to look at the glue of the story, time expressions. At first, after that, in the afternoon. Without these phrases, a recount text is basically just a messy pile of random memories. Time expressions act as the connective tissue. They keep that precious chronological order perfectly sequenced so your listener never gets lost along the way. Oh, and add in personal pronouns like I and we to make it feel personal. And there you go, you have the complete grammatical toolkit.
And finally, Section 4, the final drill. Let's do a quick quiz.
You've watched the tape, you've studied the playbook, and you know the stance. So it's time for a rapid-fire comprehension drill. Let's see just how well you retained this play-by-play. Question 1. What event did the school hold, and what time did it start? Think back to the very beginning of the story, the orientation phase of the text. Do you have it?
And there's the answer. A sports day started at 7 a.m. with a short opening ceremony. If you got that right, you've successfully identified the core context that our writer established right out of the gate. Great job! All right, let's turn up the heat with question 2. What was the final score of the football match? This one is testing your memory of the events section. Remember Andy's amazing goal in the second half? Or how about the goalie's fantastic save in those final minutes?
2-1. That was the winning score. It's specific details like this that make a recount text feel so vivid, unreal to the person who's reading or listening to it.
Okay, final question in the drill. Did the writer's class win the afternoon tug-of-war competition? Think carefully about that little narrative twist at the end of the day. The answer is no. They lost, but they were still happy because they worked as a team. This question is absolutely crucial because it ties directly back to the reorientation. It proves that the recount text isn't just about listing facts. It's about the feeling, and in this case, the ultimate moral of sportsmanship. Which actually brings us perfectly to our final thought for this explainer. You've got the playbook now. Orientation, events, and reorientation. You've got the stats, past tense, action verbs, and time connectors. So what unforgettable past experience are you going to recount next? The tools are right there in your hands, ready to make your next story absolutely captivating. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I highly encourage you to go out there and start recounting your own incredible stories.